Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing really well. Now, a little quick note before we start. I know that it's been a while since I posted a new video, and that's because I've been having some health issues recently. Nothing serious, but it's really affecting my energy levels. So I thought that today we could do a little bit of a quieter, slower video, and hopefully you're okay with that. This one is a lot less kind of science and fact-based. It's just me advising you about how to shop sustainably. So I hope you find that useful and I hope you like it. I just wanted to pop in here with a little bit of a disclaimer just to let you know that I'm not sponsored by, affiliated with, or have any sort of relationship with any of the brands, apps, or websites that I talk about in this video. They're either things that I use myself and I wanted to recommend to you, or they're just random brands that came up when I did my Google search. Now, I am open to these sorts of sponsorships in the future with brands that I really like and support and like their ethos, but I'll always make it very, very clear to you when something is sponsored and when it isn't. So let's get on with the video. When you first find out about the horrors of the fashion industry, you might be motivated enough to say, that's it, I'm quitting fast fashion. But then you're left with the question, how can I shop sustainably? There is no one solution to sustainable fashion. There isn't a holy grail of decision making that can tell you what brand to buy from. As I've said in previous videos, the nitty-gritty definition of sustainable fashion is really down to you. You have to decide on your own criteria and how important each is. But there are some tips and tricks that can help you along the way. Now, of course, what everyone will tell you when you ask about shopping sustainably is to shop secondhand. Shopping secondhand can be great because it takes away that burden of manufacturing. Even if you buy a fast fashion item, if it's secondhand, it's already been created, it's already been put out into the world. Whatever suffering was going to happen has already happened. So at this point, it's better to just buy it, use it, and make sure it gets a full life cycle than throw it away or get rid of it. Of course, the traditional way to do this is shopping in charity shops, thrift shops, second-hand shops, whatever you call them where you live. But personally, I have to say that I prefer shopping online for second-hand items. Now, maybe this is just because of the generation that I'm in, the internet generation or whatever, but I also find that the charity shop experience can be quite similar to the fast fashion high street shopping experience. You go in, you browse, you see something you like because of the color or the style or the fit or whatever, and you end up buying it when it actually might not be something that you need. So I think charity shopping can be really great for finding those hidden gems, but if you're not sure about your style, if you're worried that you're going to overconsume regardless, it's probably best not to just risk it. Plus, I always find that charity shopping can take ages, and in this corona world that we're living in, does anyone really want to leave their house? Personally, I shop mainly from Depop. Now, there are other apps like Vinted and New, there's loads of them out there. I just happen to shop on Depop. I think it's probably the biggest and most well-known one, and that's probably why I do it. But it works pretty much like a normal fast fashion website or app. You input your search terms, you can filter by loads of different things, which is really useful. And then you just come up with a lot of different people, sometimes individual reselling shops that have the items that you might want. The great thing about Depop is that if you saw something recently in a fast fashion shop that you wanted to buy, but you didn't want to support them financially, you're very likely to be able to find it either new or just barely used on Depop for a lower price. Keep in mind always when you're shopping secondhand that the brand still does matter when it comes to quality. If you want something really long-lasting and durable, you probably don't want to buy it from a fast fashion brand. Now, on the other hand, if you already own something fast fashion and you really, really like it and you just want to replace it with the same exact thing, you're very likely to be able to do that through something like Depop. I actually buy all of my t-shirts off of Depop because my favorite type of crop t-shirt is made by Zara and Pull & Bear, and I really don't want to support them. But I also don't want to have to go out and try and find the same t-shirt made by an ethical brand. So I just buy it all off of Depop, and since I already know that I like it, that it fits well, and I know my size, it's virtually risk-free. Say you're looking for a waterproof jacket, you just type that in, and then you can filter by price, size, brand, and location. Once you've found a few jackets that you love, you can message the sellers, ask them for details or any extra photos, or you can save them and come back to them a few days later. I always find that this is the best way to get something that you really, really love. But of course, if you're in a rush or if you find like your perfect ever item, snap it up because things on Depop are generally only one of a kind. Just another quick note about using places like Depop and eBay and that sort of thing for secondhand stuff. Do a little bit of research on who the seller is. Just click on their profile and see if they're an individual, a secondhand shop, or just someone selling new items on Depop, because there are a few brands that are now starting to just sell their first-hand items on there, and that's really not the point of what we are trying to do. Now, for things that are more kind of one-off items like a dress for a wedding or a graduation or a suit for Christmas Day, your best solution might actually be to rent. There are now places like Her and By Rotation, and I'm sure there are a lot of other places where you can rent really high-end designer items, really high-quality, beautiful clothing, and you just rent it for a few days or a week or whatever, and then you just give it right back. And that means that not only do you not have clutter in your wardrobe that you're not going to wear again, you also have access to items that you normally wouldn't have within your price range. But let's say that you've exhausted all of those options. You want a waterproof jacket, you don't have one, your friends and family don't have one to give you, you've looked at Depop, you've looked online, and you haven't been able to find anything. You really want to buy something that's new and durable, but also sustainably made. Now, for a brand to be sustainable, it has to hit at least 3 points: social responsibility, environmental responsibility, and an ethical treatment of animals. Be aware that there is a lot more, and I have more videos on those details. But for now, here's a few things that you might not have thought of. Do the brand know their entire supply chain? Not just saying made in China or made in Bangladesh, but the specific factories, even the names of the people that made their items. Do they use sustainable fibers, natural, organic, or recycled fibers? Do they offset their emissions and properly dispose of factory waste? Are they using fibers which are known to destroy habitats around the world? Is their entire company diverse, not just run by a white male billionaire? Are people going to get mad that I said that? You better not. Now, those are just some of the questions that you should ask, and their importance varies according to your own sustainability code. Personally, I don't require my clothes to be vegan, and I prioritize social responsibility above basically everything else. But those details are really up to you. So there you are, ready to find your new waterproof jacket. Where to start? Honestly, unless I have a specific brand in mind that I already know is sustainable, I just start by typing into Google, and I would normally type something as generic as sustainable waterproof jacket UK and just kind of see what comes up. I add the UK at the end because I want to buy things from as close to home as possible to minimize transport emissions. But the fact that a brand is made in the UK or just based in the UK doesn't necessarily mean that they're more sustainable. Okay, so here are our results: Rapanui Clothing, COS, Thought, and Mammoc. Then there are also always going to be a few blogs with sustainable lists of jackets to buy, and you can always look at those as well, but just be aware that by going to one of those lists, you're relying on the sustainability criteria that the person that wrote the list has set, and that might not be the same criteria that you believe in. So let's start by clicking on these links and just having a look at each of these brands. On their homepage, Rapanui are already advertising sustainability: plastic-free packaging, natural materials, renewable energy. This is a good sign, but not a guarantee. Sustainability is trending at the moment, so a lot of brands are taking advantage of customers who don't know what to look for. So I would first have a look around their info pages, see if their claims seem legitimate. It says they make their teas in partnership with T-Mill, so I'm going to give that a quick Google. Looks like Wired and Good On You both have articles on them, which is promising. I do like Good On You for basic research. I think it's a bit dangerous to rely on it too much, but I can do a different video about why I think that. For now, consider it a useful tool, but not the only tool that you use. So it looks like Rapanui is where T-Mill started, so their ethics should be very similar. Aha! Now this bit is great. I love seeing a certification, especially one like GOTS, the Global Organic Textile Standard. Again, I can go into more detail about it in a different video, but in summary, GOTS is a certification for organic fibers, which includes regulation of their farming, dyeing, and the effects on their workers and the surrounding environment. Why is my voice doing this? Now, not every brand can afford to get certified, but seeing a certification like that where I already know the criteria is really like a stamp of approval, and it really helps me trust a brand more. Okay, let's head back to the Rapanui website. Skimming down this page, it looks like they're hitting quite a few measurable points: organic cotton farmed in rainy regions, reducing irrigation, water processing and recirculation, one central factory which also has a social accountability certification. Looks pretty good to me. Only one thing to point out: Rapanui is a UK-owned clothing brand, and all of their sustainability claims seem to check out. It is owned by 2 white men, and I'm not saying that this should put you off from buying from them, but just be aware of who you're buying from, who you're giving your money to, because really, equity and diversity is incredibly important in the sustainable fashion industry, and we need to make sure that we're supporting a range of brands and people. So having a quick look at their inventory looks good here too. They clearly have a niche. They're not trying to do everything from shoes to headbands and jeans as well. One of my problems with big fast fashion brands is that they do exactly that. They sell a little bit of everything, and that means they're not actually really good at making anything. Sustainable brands will generally have a niche. They'll concentrate on a specific type of item, and they'll do that well. 2 types of jackets is all they need: simple and minimal. Looking at the spec, there's a lot of detail and even the mention of their GOTS certification, which is great. Quick glance at the reviews, looks good to me. Now, from what I've seen of Rapanui, which honestly didn't take very long and wasn't a super in-depth search, I really like them, I trust them, I've heard their name before in the sustainable fashion community, so if I were you, I would buy a jacket from them. But what if you don't like one of those 2 jackets? Now, that is admittedly one of the problems with shopping sustainably. It can take a little bit longer to go through all of the different brands and to appraise them to see what you like. But actually, Becky from the Nifty Thrifter made a really good point about this the other day, which was that, yes, we often say that sustainable shopping takes longer, but if you actually add up the amount of time that at least I used to scroll through
redacted
and just look at every single item just to make sure that I wasn't missing out, just to make sure that if I wanted something I would get it immediately, totting up all of those scrolling hours actually comes to a much larger total amount of time than, the 10-20 minutes I just spent looking for a jacket. So let's go back to our Google search. The next results were COS, I don't know how to pronounce it, and Thought. Now, COS rings a bell for me, but not in a good way. I have a sneaking suspicion, they're owned by H&M. Now, this is up to you, but I personally don't buy anything from brands that are affiliated with fast fashion, even if the brand themselves are supposedly sustainable. My ideology behind that is that the most likely reason for H&M to start a sustainable brand is because sustainability is now trending, not because they actually care and want to make changes. If they wanted to make real changes, they would be starting with their most popular, their most influential brand. And time again, we've seen fast fashion brands come out with capsule collections and sustainable collections, and they never actually end up making any large-scale changes to the way their businesses operate. So I just don't really want to give my money to them. Over the past few videos, I've mentioned H&M specifically a few times, and I know for a fact that up to at least a few weeks ago, they were party to union busting and they were profiting off of prison labor. H&M are owned by Stefan Persson, Sweden's richest man, and I just don't want to put any more money in his pockets. So for me, COS is a no-go. So we move on to Thought. My first impression is that they seem a little fast fashion-y with their web design. The sale banner, new styles added thing, gives me the impression of a very selly brand. If you're used to shopping fast fashion, you might not even notice this. You actually might like it a little bit more because it feels more familiar. But for me, it kind of just feels a bit overwhelming and pressurizing. Looking through their sustainability page, I'm seeing some good signs. They only use recycled polyester, sustainable fibers, and they have a few different certifications. But if you hover over their inventory, they do seem to be doing a bit of everything. I do like that, like Rapanui, they include a lot of this information in the about pages for their specific items, so you don't really have to go looking in depth to find their certifications or, their sustainability claims. My final thoughts on Thought, They do seem invested in sustainability. They have a few certifications, and I do trust what they say, but their wording for me is a little bit vague. It's a little bit buying into that sustainability trend. So I don't know. Personally, I would probably shop somewhere else, somewhere that's more specific and niche, where I know that they've spent all of their time designing a couple of different items. Excuse me. So I would kind of just continue like that, looking through the different websites and brands that I find, applying this same methodology to all of them. And I think a lot of it comes down to the kind of vibe or feel that you get from them. Once you know a little bit more, you're into the world of sustainability, you can kind of tell if a brand is being truthful or not. Of course, you can't always tell for sure. So if you really want to check, you can look up the name of the brand and then different keywords like, I don't know, H&M, tax evasion, or H&M, modern slavery, exploitation, garment workers, or different keywords like that. Why do you keep dying on me? But be aware that a lot of the amazing small sustainable brands won't really be the ones that you find by Googling them. Once you immerse yourself in the community, you'll be able to get recommendations from people that you trust, and then you'll have these same skills that you can apply to any brand and figure out if they actually fit your own sustainability code. So I hope this video was helpful for you. I hope you didn't mind that it was a little bit quieter, a little bit slower. Let me know what you think down below. Watch all of my other videos and I'll see you next time. Bye!